And jump into today's moral of the story. Once upon a time, there was an eagle and a snake. And the eagle would spend most of its days, as eagles would, soaring above the clouds, looking down the world below, while the snake would slither along and spend most of its life confined to the ground below. One day, the eagle came down and landed next to the snake to check in and see how it was doing, and landed by and said, "Hey, snake, how's it going?" And the snake said, "It's going quite well." And the eagle said, "You know, snake, I was thinking, I pity you." And the snake said, "Well, why is that?" And the eagle said, "Well, I have these wings that allow me to fly. I'm able to spend my days soaring above the clouds looking at the ground below. And you have nothing. All you do is slither around in the dirt." And the snake looked at the eagle quite shocked, and he said, "Well, my dear friend, please don't pity me, for I too know how to fly." And the eagle looks at the snake and says, "What do you mean? How could you know how to fly? You have no wings." And the snake looks at the eagle and says, "But that's where you're wrong. You see, you don't need wings to fly. What I learned long ago is that in my mind, I can take myself to wherever I want to go. So every day while I'm slithering around and crawling through the dirt, I'm also flying high above the clouds. Every day I soar up to the mountains and I close my eyes and I can feel what it would feel like to have the wind on my back and the air lift me up. I can feel what it would feel like to soar and see the world and the ground below. I know what it's like to live that way because I see it in my mind. You see, my dear friend," the snake said to the eagle, "I recognize that I have a choice in this. I have a choice to slither. I have a choice to fly. And that gives me an advantage over you." And the eagle looks at the snake and says, "Advantage over me? How? I have these wings." And the snake said, "Exactly, that's my advantage." The snake says, "For you were born with your wings. But at some point the time will come where you and I will both be the same. We will move on from this earth and both return to the dirt. And you will no longer have your wings. See, I already know how to exist without them. But do you?" And the eagle thought about it for a moment and looked at the snake and said, "No, I don't." And the snake looked at the eagle and said, "While I don't pity you, I do know that I have an advantage over you. Because I know what it's like to live without wings. And you only know what it's like to live with them. You've never given yourself the gift of slithering around through the dirt, to be able to experience the contrast that life has to offer." And my friends, I leave you with that and ask you, what is the moral of the story? What are you going to take away from today's story? Did you like it? Did you learn something from it? Again, please leave a comment below. I see one lone heart trickling along the screen. I would love to read your moral of the story. I'll be checking back in on the comments periodically throughout the day. And as always, your insights are greatly appreciated, as I learned quite a bit from them. And those of you who leave them, again, please leave what your moral of the story is, along with your action step that you're going to take going forward.